All right, so imagine this. It's February 2011 and someone launches a website. But not just any website. This one promises users anonymity, freedom from prying eyes, and a digital bazaar of, well, almost anything. That's the start of Silk Road, a darknet marketplace that brought together technology and controversy like never before.
And at the centre of all this was Ross Ulbricht, using the alias Dread Pirate Roberts. It's almost cinematic, isn't it? A name borrowed straight from the cult classic, The Princess Bride. He orchestrated this entire operation on the Tor network, a platform designed to provide anonymity. By using Tor, Silk Road became, essentially, a digital black market where users could trade without leaving a trace.
And Bitcoin. Let's not forget that. This was key. All transactions on Silk Road were conducted using Bitcoin. Back then, Bitcoin was still seen as niche, associated with enthusiasts and academics, but Ulbricht's site turned it into the currency of choice for anonymous online trading. It really was a match made in, well, the shadows.
Now, what made this marketplace so unique wasn't just the technology. Silk Road also represented a kind of ideology. Ulbricht was vocal about his libertarian principles, framing the site as a space free from government control, a place where individuals could freely interact. Of course, in practice, the transactions on Silk Road were overwhelmingly illegal, especially the trade of drugs. Yet, it wasn't limited to just contraband.
Yeah, exactly. There were legal items too, things like books, art, and even jewellery. But the spotlight always seemed to focus on the illegal side. And honestly, the numbers were staggering. Between 2011 and 2013, the marketplace facilitated millions in Bitcoin sales. It was a virtual free-for-all, operating out of sight from conventional law enforcement.
The name Silk Road itself is telling, isn't it? It's derived from the ancient trade routes that connected Asia and Europe, where spices, silk, and ideas crossed continents. What Ulbricht created was a digital parallel, a modern Silk Road, connecting buyers and sellers across the globe, all shrouded in secrecy.
And that historical reference made it sound almost romantic, didn't it? As if it were echoing something noble from the past. But unlike the ancient trade routes, this version grappled with something entirely new, technology that blurred lines of legality and morality in a way we'd never seen before.
Exactly. This wasn't just a marketplace. It was a blueprint for how the dark web would function for years to come. Silk Road wasn't the first attempt at an online black market, but it was the first to use this combination of anonymity tools and cryptocurrency effectively. And that's why its rise was so rapid and defining.
And it really did grow quickly, didn't it? Its rise wasn't just due to its functionality. It was about timing. This was when the internet was maturing, when an increasing number of people were looking for ways to push its boundaries. Silk Road became their outlet, or star.
And this rapid success? Oh, it caught the attention of law enforcement. But we're not quite there yet.
So that rapid rise of Silk Road we mentioned, it was bound to attract attention. By October 2013, law enforcement had cracked down with a meticulously planned operation. What's truly fascinating is the level of digital detective work it took to pinpoint the servers running Silk Road and bring it all to a halt.
That's right. According to the FBI, they exploited a vulnerability in Silk Road's capture system to trace its real IP address, located all the way in Reykjavik, Iceland. But, not everyone buys it. Security experts have suggested it might have been a more conventional lead or even a human error on Silk Road's part.
Still, no matter how they did it, the outcome was clear. They managed to track down Ross Ulbricht, who was arrested in San Francisco, in a public library of all places. And let's not forget the staggering seizure of over 144,000 bitcoins from the site and Ulbricht's accounts.
Yeah, just think about that. At the time, 144,000 bitcoins were worth roughly $28.5 million. But today, that's billions. It shows how transformative Silk Road was, not just for online illicit trade, but also for the rise of cryptocurrency as a financial force.
And Ulbricht's arrest didn't just capture the dark web community's attention. It became a media spectacle. His trial in 2015 was heavily covered, and he ultimately received life sentences without the possibility of parole. That sentencing made some people question whether justice had been served or if the punishment was too harsh.
Indeed. And while Ulbricht was facing the fallout, the darknet community wasn't exactly dormant. Silk Road 2.0 emerged just a month after the original site was shut down. Different operators, similar concept, and, wouldn't you know, a new dread pirate Roberts stepped in to run the show.
But Silk Road 2.0 wasn't destined for the same success. Authorities quickly caught up with it during Operation Onimus in 2014. And honestly, this tug-of-war between illicit markets and law enforcement, it's played out again and again ever since.
It has. And Silk Road's legacy, the ability to conduct anonymous transactions for nearly anything, left a permanent mark on the dark web. Even after its closure, many successor sites tried to fill the vacuum it left behind.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Shutting down Silk Road was a victory for the FBI, but it was far from the end of the story.
And that's exactly it. Shutting down Silk Road may have been a victory for the FBI, but the ripples of its legacy are still being felt. It wasn't just a digital black market. It reshaped conversations about online anonymity and digital currencies. The story was far from over.
No, it didn't. And that's perhaps most evident in how public opinion around Ross Ulbricht shifted over the years. By 2025, when President Trump issued his pardon, many people were calling for leniency, criticising the harshness of his life sentences.
Right. And it wasn't just about Ulbricht. His case became this emblem of the debate around internet privacy and justice. People began to question, should someone face a lifetime behind bars for building a platform, even if that platform hosted illegal activity?
Exactly. And let's not forget, Silk Road brought cryptocurrency into mainstream conversations. Bitcoin's role in anonymous transactions pushed governments around the world to rethink digital currency regulation. You could say the ripple effects were enormous.
Oh, absolutely. Silk Road basically forced legislative bodies to address questions about privacy and accountability in the digital age. It wasn't just about combating illegal trade. It was about defining the rules for a whole new frontier of commerce.
And that shift wasn't limited to lawmakers. Culturally, the Silk Road story became a phenomenon. Books, documentaries, films. It's been dissected and re-examined from almost every angle. It's one of those stories that perfectly encapsulates the complexities of modern technology.
Yeah, it's fascinating how it's portrayed. On one hand, you've got this sort of romanticised vision of online freedom, and on the other, a grim reminder of the dangers of an unregulated digital ecosystem. What do they call it again? The Wild West of the Internet?
Exactly. And even now, when we talk about internet freedom, Silk Road is still the cautionary tale everyone points to.
And yet, despite all these differing opinions, its impact is undeniable. Whether you see it as a vehicle for freedom or a breeding ground for crime, Silk Road changed the way we think about technology's reach. And, in a way, it's still shaping the conversation.
It is. And Ross Ulbricht's pardon, whether you agree with it or not, feels like the final chapter in this saga of the digital age's growing pains.
And on that note, that's all for today. What a story, huh? Thanks for joining us as we unpacked it all. Until next time, take care and, well, don't go starting any black markets.